What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we are going to discuss a major event that happened late on Thursday. The United States government essentially has declared itself anti-union. That happened Thursday night with an executive order that was signed by the president, limiting numerous agency employees from unionizing and instructing the government to stop engaging in any collective bargaining. Now, I want to tell you that this is a very important signal, and it's important to understand union history and why the government was pro-collective bargaining. Without the government stepping and making that deal in order to take the stance that it was pro-collective bargaining and pro-worker, the reason that the government took that stance was because strikes were untenable for the economy. It wasn't that working folks begged. No, working folks were fighting for their right to collectively bargain, and workers were fighting for worker rights. And they were striking at very, very high numbers and shutting down the economy in different spots. Wherever they were striking, there was shutdowns of the economy. That was the whole reason that the government took a pro-collective bargaining stance. But last Thursday, the government has signaled it is not pro-collective bargaining anymore, and it signals also that times will become more difficult for working folks. And the thing that's disturbing and upsetting the most is that a lot of our union members take for granted the union that they have because they don't learn what went into creating that union, the blood that was spilt, the lives that were lost. And we're not just talking about the union members. A lot of times their families were affected. This labor history is bloody with the body, it's strewn with the bodies of working folks standing up and fighting for better. If you just looked up the Haymarket affair, you'll see bloody. If you look up rail worker strikes back in the day, the coal strikes, the Ludlam massacre, you just look up any of these stories and you read about it, you understand the sacrifice that went into creating a union. And because we don't learn this, we take it for granted. It's really imperative on us to go out, and again, it's frustrating to me because you shouldn't have to seek out this information, but you do. And it seems you always have to seek out information, and it's frustrating. And I don't know why leaders don't talk frankly about what's going on in the world, because a frank discussion needs to take place. And you can't be afraid to have a frank discussion. But it seems we'd rather remain silent, like an ostrich, stick our heads in the sand and hope this thing passes by and we're not affected. In history, working folks had to band together. History repeats itself. The robber barons have taken over. We have to be frank and say that. The robber barons have taken over. They used to be in charge back in the day too. And then we fought like hell and we balanced out the scales a little bit and we created the middle class. But they've bought the government. They're in charge again. And it's going to be imperative on us to understand what's going on. And we're going to need folks telling the truth. Anyway, let's dive in. This is on an article on The Hill that came out, from The Hill that came out on Thursday. An accompanying fact sheet from the White House lays out the rationale for the move, claiming the Civil Service Reform Act of '78, allowing government workers to unionize, enables hostile federal unions to obstruct agency management. This is all smoke and mirrors for why they're justifying being anti-union. President Trump is taking action to ensure that agencies vital to national security can execute their missions without delay and protect the American people, the fact sheet states. Again, smoke and mirrors. The order targets agencies, it says, have a national security mission, but many of the departments don't have a strict national security connection. An Office of Personnel Management memo directs agencies to terminate their collective bargaining agreement. Terminate their already existing collective bargaining agreement. Can we get away with doing it here? And if we can, let's give a gift to the bosses and terminate collective bargaining agreements everywhere. Why wouldn't they go there next? Buckle up. In addition to all agencies with the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, the Department of State, and the Department of Veterans Affairs, the order also covers the Treasury Department, all agencies within the Department of Health and Human Services, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Science Foundation, the General Services Administration, and many more. And they're claiming that all of this has to do with national security. Really? In total, the OPM memo references 18 departments while also including numerous component agencies. The OPM memo instructs agencies to terminate their collective bargaining agreement. Consequently, those agencies and subdivisions are no longer required to collectively bargain with federal unions, the OPM memo states, because the statutory authority underlying the original recognition of the relevant unions no longer applies. Unions lose their status as the exclusively recognized labor organizations for employees of the agencies. The OPM memo also says agencies should cease participating in grievance procedures after terminating their collective bargaining agreements. That means any grievances that are already filed, any grievances that are already on the books, that are already going through the process, they're going to be able to just terminate those grievances and not address them. That's what the OPM memo is talking about. The American Federation of Government Employees condemned the action in an email to its members, saying the Trump administration was illegally stripping collective bargaining rights from hundreds of thousands of federal workers. You got to understand something. Collective bargaining agreements are contracts. Now, you might be able to end it once the contract's over, but you can't end it in the middle. There's steps for that. It's laid out. It's in your CBA. If you look at your CBA, there's steps for if you want to terminate the agreement. Let's be clear, national security is not the reason for this action. This is retaliation because our union is standing up for AFGE members, and a warning to every union: fall in line or else. AFGE is not going anywhere. We are fighting back. We are preparing legal action. The union noted Friday that its members already have some restrictions that private sector unions do not, including a bar on any strikes. Mind you, the IBEW has a bar on strikes in most locals. In a press conference aside AFGE leaders Friday, Rep. Jamie Raskin said the order violated the free speech rights. He called it a clear case of First Amendment viewpoint discrimination and political retaliation against AFGE and other unions for standing up for the rights of federal workers. They don't have the power to breach existing collective bargaining agreements based on anti-speech discrimination. And that's exactly what's going on. And it's clear as day that they are retaliating against the labor movement, Raskin said. You think they're not coming for us? The move to restrict unions comes after the Department of Homeland Security stripped the bargaining rights of Transportation Safety Administration employees. Again, the TSA is now they don't have collective bargaining rights. AFGE has sued over that matter, arguing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has no power to end an already authorized 7-year contract. The 2024 CBA has a term of 7 years and allows limited midterm bargaining. This collective bargaining agreement, like any other, is a binding contract the union wrote in the suit. The Civil Service Reform Act, while allowing for collective bargaining, does have exemptions for national security. Mind you, this is not national security. The OPM memo, however, makes some surprising choices in determining which agencies have national security missions. Understand that this is a repeat of history and we're going to go through it. And we have to have these conversations. My name's Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember that the fight's not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one. Get out there and reach one. And remember, there could be no union without you and I front and center. So let's go. Peace.